Good evening, everybody. This is John Jerkowitz with the Career Corner. I'd like to thank you all for giving up some of your valuable and precious time to spend a little bit of time with me this evening. I'm going to develop a thread tonight about part of our careers, whether we're in the traditional job market, whether we're coaches, whether we're consultants, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, small business owners. I'd like to talk about something tonight that affects all of us. And I have to be honest with you, I was really struggling with a way to lead this off so that you could kind of focus on what I wanted to talk about. And thankful to God and my angels, I was doing a video chat about 2.5 hours ago with one of my colleagues here, Bethany Stevenson, and we were talking about the hangout I was going to do tonight and a lot of other things. And she made a comment that I said, wow, can I quote you on this? Because it really tied it all together. And here's what she said, and I got to read this because we don't have the resources to have teleprompters. So looking away from the screen, forgive me. She said, if you don't care about me, you won't care about my business. And I got to tell you, she hit the nail right on the head. Because one of the things that gets lost, one of the things that we don't know because we just don't know, is that when we walk into the marketplace, however we choose to represent ourselves in that marketplace, the only real thing we have to market is ourselves. The only thing we have to share is our honesty, our authenticity, our integrity, and our sincerity. That's it. I'm just going to continue to embarrass Bethany and use her as an example. Bethany is, among other things, the most excellent project manager. Now, there's all kinds of other project managers out there, and they probably will try to woo and impress you with big offices and a staff of hundreds of people, and will guarantee you that they'll take care of your project. Then you have a solopreneur like Bethany, sincerely engaged and invested in the service she provides for other people. Who are you going to choose when you need a project manager? You're going to choose somebody who represents themselves and their values to you. Now, probably in about the last 4 to 5 years, we've just undergone this phenomenal overhaul in marketing. And I think I put it to somebody the other day, we've had a tsunami of social media. Now, I could sit here probably for the next 30 to 35 minutes and talk to you about every avenue of social media that's available to you and I to enhance our careers. And the sad thing is that, myself included, we sometimes try to use it all. And when we try to use it all, the sincerity and the authenticity of who we are gets lost. I used to get up at 4:30 in the morning and spend anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours a day just on social media. Now, you know, when you're a solopreneur like I am, a coach and consultant, and you don't have that huge network behind you, if you're going to be involved in social media and you think you need to be involved in it all, you're going to spend about 2 hours a day doing it. So that was a decision I had to make, but somewhere along the line it dawned on me that I needed to pick one or two vehicles to use in social media to help enhance me, my brand, and myself. And in order to do that, I had to feel comfortable with it, because if I wasn't comfortable, I wouldn't be authentic. So imagine you're a coach, and you know, I have been coaching people for about the last 15 years. I've been certified for the last 5 years. And one of the things that I run up against is the great misconception that people have about coaching. Believe it or not, as many of us as there are, there's still this perception that I'm going to take you out in the desert, give you something funky to eat, and we're going to look at the stars and go, oh, wow, man. Even though that perception is changing, when you start to deal in the business environment, there are still people that kind of raise their eyes. My wife and I went to a Chamber of Commerce meeting today in the city that we live in, and I had rejoined the chamber after about a 10-year absence. And one of the folks that was sitting next to me said, "Oh, John, who do you work for?" And I said, "I work for myself. I'm a coach and consultant." And it was almost like I said, "And I have cholera," because the guy just backed away a little bit and said, "Oh." So when I put my coach's hat on and I approach a prospective client, if I'm not me, if I'm not authentic, if I'm not sincere, if I'm not honest and say, you know, I can understand why you feel that way because there's a lot of misconceptions out there. But what do you think you'd gain from working with somebody like me? Well, gee, I don't know, John, because I don't know a whole lot about this. Okay, let me give you a few tips. Or let me ask you a few questions. Now, I know some other people who would handle that same encounter in a different way. And that's because in handling it that way, they're comfortable in their skin. Now, you take somebody like me who would sit here and talk all night. Craziest thing, if you've never hosted a Google Hangout before, right before you go live on air, it reminds you you're going live, and you can be live for up to 8 hours. You don't know how often the temptation's there. Not just kidding. So I'm a very relaxed person, and I'm going to talk to you like we're sitting on my deck drinking beverage of choice on a nice summer evening and watching the sunset and getting to know one another. And then I have some colleagues who deal with things much more formally. They have a much more defined pattern, and they're just as effective. So suppose they joined us on the porch, and we're all sitting there, and the person that's looking for a coach or for a consultant is going to make that choice based on what they think of me or the other person. What I mean by that, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, is that the more authentic I am, the more real I am, the more opportunity I have. Now, I gave you that example because coaching and consulting is what I do today. But years ago, I was an employee. I started work for a Fortune 5 company when I began my career. And I had to interview for a position. And since that time, I've been fortunate enough to hire and interview, well, probably in 40 years, over 1,000 people. And one of the things I found is that most candidates that come in to interview for a job are pretty much equally qualified, or you wouldn't have them there. What makes them stand out is their authenticity. So we teach a lot of things. We stress a lot of marketing, especially in this online community. That's where business is going. I was digging through a file cabinet the other day, and I came across about 5 sheets of legal pad that I had saved from a webinar I went to on virtual marketing about, 4 or 5 years ago. And I sat down and read it, and I went, wow. Because the people that conducted the webinar said within 5 years, social media, virtual marketing, that will be the mainstream marketing tool. And I got to be honest with you, I kind of cocked an eyebrow and thought, yeah, well, I don't know about that. But it is. Job seekers today use social media to enhance their resumes, to enhance their visibility in the job place. You're a small business owner. If you don't have a website, if you don't have some sort of social media contact, with the group of people that you market to and sell to, you're not going to be in business very long. So the thread that runs through this, the thread of you don't know what you don't know, is the authenticity, the sincerity, and the honesty. So my advice to you, and yeah, I'm in one of them advice-giving moods tonight. My advice to you is simply this: be yourself. I'm going to tell you that when I first got involved in the Google Plus community, I didn't know up from down. I probably didn't do my own Google Hangout for, 3 or 4 months. But what I did is I watched some really good people on here, and if I mentioned their names, you would know who they were. Watched some really, really good Hangouts and watched how they did it. And said, yeah, that'd work for me. No, that wouldn't work for me. And the reason I'm sharing that with you is this. Flattery is the greatest compliment you can pay someone. Imitation necessarily isn't. So I can take the best of 3 or 4 people that I've watched and said they do that very well. They're very smooth. They're very fluent. So sometimes in the morning I'll sit in front of the camera and I'll practice. And I'll record what I've said and done so I can get better at doing it. Sometimes I'll post it through the social media site that I'm the most comfortable with. Okay, John, how do you know what social media site you're most comfortable with? How do you know you're being effective? Well, it's real easy. How many people are following you? How many people want to know what you have to say? Because really, I'm going to go back to what Bethany said, and I'm going to put a little bit of a different slant on it. I got to trust you if I'm going to do business with you. You know, I'm going to go back to when I got my life coaching certification, and Lord knows it's worse today than it was 5 years ago. But you can search the internet, and there must be 8,450,000 people who guarantee you they're going to certify you as a life coach, and they're going to do it in 15 to 20 minutes. But I did some research, and I found a group that met my needs, that was authentic to me. And I bring that up, and I'm going to come back to that in a minute, and I bring that up to you tonight because those of you who are looking at changing careers, who are in the job market, we sometimes forget, we don't know what we don't know, that employment's a two-way street. You have to want to work for someone as much as they want to work for you. Now, traditionally, and we're not going to do a history lesson here, but since the Industrial Revolution, we've kind of turned that whole equation upside down on its head, and we've said, oh, I'm just so lucky that you want to hire me, I have a job, I have benefits, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But just think how many times you have gotten into a job. I did twice, okay, because someone flattered me and offered me the job, and in each instance I was in a position higher than I was in the position previous. If there's an old bluegrass song for those of you who are into bluegrass music, and the song goes, I wish I was 16 again and know what I know now. Yeah, me too. Knowing what I know now, I probably would have turned those positions down because they weren't a fit. Stayed in one for 5 years and another one for about 2 years. And in both cases, I ended up getting downsized. Shouldn't have been there to begin with. Those organizations did not have the same values I did. Let me repeat that. Those organizations didn't have the same values I did. Were they dirty, rotten, nasty old people? No. They didn't share my values. The next person that came in behind me to interview might have shared their values better, might have done a better job. But what you need to realize if you're a job seeker is that unfortunately most employers are bedazzled by the qualifications and can't quite figure out 3 years later why you've moved on to greener pastures. Now, if you guys remember about 3 or 4 weeks ago when I did a hangout on personal branding, I told you that I posted a free gift on my website, and if you look at what we call the lower third here on Google Hangouts, you'll see my website, mywalkonwater.com. At the bottom of that page, I've reposted that free gift again for you. And it's an exercise that takes you through kind of a personal journey. Ask you to give your own input plus the input of other people to kind of create and maybe galvanize those values. Because, you know, I think if we were all sitting here in my office this evening, one of the things that if I said, hey, you over there in the corner, tell me what your values are. Oh, you'd be able to bing, bing, bing. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Okay. I believe in this sort of thing. Okay. But how do you take that and how do you share that authenticity? Many of you have heard me say that we're using the same tools and techniques to hire people that we used shortly after the Second World War. I don't really care what the last good book you read was. I don't care what kind of music you listen to. Oh, I might, if you and I have lunch together one day and you hear a song and your eyes light up, say, oh, you're into so-and-so? But really, it's going to have little to no impact on how well you do your job or how well you integrate into my workforce. Your authenticity will, and that's where we're going today. All right, okay, so you're not looking for a job. You own your own business. You might have 15 to 20 people that work for you. They're going to stay working for you because they trust you. They're going to stay working for you because they believe you. They're going to stay working for you because you have integrity. They're going to stay working for you because they have the same values that you have. Now, I'm going to go back and talk about my coaching certification for a minute. You're going to see how all this fits in together. I'm just not running my normal stream of consciousness. But shortly after I got my coaching certification, I got invited to become part of a group of coaches who met weekly for 90 minutes to talk about spiritual issues. And 5 years ago, we didn't call this masterminding, but we do today. And it was a really great group of people. And I got to tell you, I was just, I don't want to say hesitant, but I had a little bit of fear and trepidation because some of these folks were like in the major leagues. But after about 25 minutes, I got this feeling in my head, my heart, and my stomach that I had come home. That I had found a group of people who shared my values and shared my beliefs. And one of the neat things and one of the challenges I give to you is, wouldn't that be great if we could work with that group of people every single day, if those people were part of our lives every day? I keep in touch with 3 of those people on a regular basis to this day through social media, through Facebook. But we share a lot of stuff, and I've learned a lot of stuff from them, and they've helped me enhance my values. Because that's what it's all about. See, I can have the best marketing campaign in the world. I got a Pinterest account, and if you want to look at it, look me up, go ahead. It's mostly got baseball players on it because other than doing what I do with my coaching and consulting, baseball is another one of my passions along with soccer. I don't feel comfortable using Pinterest as a social media marketing tool. Now, if you're sitting out there and you're watching this video, whether you're watching the Hangout Live, you're watching it on YouTube, or you're going to catch the replay a couple days down the road, I'm not dissing Pinterest by any stretch of the imagination. If it's a valuable tool for you and your business, go for it. I attended a webinar here about 6 months back where a business owner who ran a curio shop in Martha's Vineyard talked about how Pinterest quadrupled her business during the vacation season. That's not my audience. Now, I can market on Pinterest, but there's going to be little or no interest because it's half-hearted and it's not sincere. Does it take a little longer to do some of this? Yeah, it does. But I'm going to go back and embarrass my colleague Bethany Stevenson again, simply by saying that if you sit down and talk with her, if you engage with her, what you see is what you get. For a lot of us, we don't know what we don't know. And the reason I put it to you that way is that's a very neutral statement. You can't react to what you don't know. Now, by the time you're done watching this video, you're not going to be able to say that. So, John, what do I do? I mean, you've thrown a lot of pious platitudes out there to us tonight. What do I do? How do I handle it? Well, first of all, I would encourage you to go to my website, and I would encourage you to download that free gift and walk through the exercise. I know that the feedback I've gotten from the people who have used it in the past has been very, very positive because it's helped them galvanize, and it's kind of helped them get a clue and insight to exactly who they are. You know, when you look at the top of my webpage, there's a big banner and it says, I help good people become better. It took me a long time to figure out exactly what it was I did. Oh, I could give you the technical yada, yada, yada about coaching and consulting, but if you're buying what I do, you're buying me. Plain and simple. See, one of the neat things about being a solopreneur, I think, and part of the reason I do it, is that I am totally and completely in charge of my own destiny. I am marketing. I am accounting. I am sales. I'm the creative department. I handle the public relations. So I came up with this exercise. And what the exercise asks you to do is, first of all, send an email to about 10 to 15 people you know pretty well and ask those people in 2 words, if they kind of closed their eyes and they looked at you, better open my eyes here, how would they describe you in 2 words? Then take that potpourri of words you have and kind of cross out the similar ones. From that, create a mission statement. Just a 2 to 3 sentence thing that represents what makes you different. You know, if you're a small business owner and you own a hardware store, a nail's a nail, a screw's a screw, and a hammer's a hammer. Why should I buy a hammer from you? Because if you understand what your mission is, you're going to sell me the right hammer, and you're going to make an investment in me so I return to create business. Most importantly, you're not doing it to make money. You're doing it because somewhere in here, okay, you're motivated and you're compelled to do the things you do. And once you have that mission statement, and once you understand who it is you are, you no longer don't know what you don't know. You know what your role is because it's your values. Now imagine how powerful that is. Just think of your current situation right now. Don't think about what you want to do a year from now, 5 years from now, what your goals and dreams are. Let's just suspend that, cut the power to it for a few minutes right now. That's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to think that if you took this exercise, and I encourage you to do it, it's free, it's for you, there's no sales pitch, no hype, I'm not going to call you, we ain't tracking your data, don't worry. I want you to take this, and I want you to write a mission statement that talks about you right now. And then once you do that, I want you to create some strategy for power in your life as it is right now. How many people in your sphere of influence, how many people don't know you? Yeah, I'm not saying what you do, how you do it. How many people don't know you? One of my personal heroes is the late Zig Ziglar. And, Zig started his career as a pot and pan salesman, went on to become one of the most revered motivational and inspirational speakers of all time. And old Zig was just old Zig. He was a pot and pan salesman from Mississippi, but he understood clearly what his mission was. And so my challenge to myself every morning when I wake up is to ask myself that question. Hey, John, what's your mission today? When I help good people become better, I'm making this world a better place to live in. I'm creating relationships. And see, once you take an exercise like the one that I'm offering to you, once you're able to do that, you have a real clear picture of what you have to offer other people. Now I'm going to give you a real big challenge once you figure all that out. I'm going to ask you to take it once a day, and I'm going to ask you to give it to somebody with no strings attached. No trying to build the case up to market my latest product or service. No trying to position myself to get an interview for that nice job that I've always wanted. I want you to take what your most precious, valuable gift is, that gift that's been given to you, and I want you to give it to somebody else. And I'm not talking about mom and dad, husband and wife, kid, dog. I'm talking about somebody who may need that gift, and give it to them free of charge. I try to do that each and every day. And some days it's difficult, because you know as well as I know that we don't always run up against those folks who share our same values. My wife and I have been married 40 years. It'll be 40 years in 2 weeks this Sunday. And somebody asked me, how I summarized that 40 years in a couple sentences, and I said, it's real simple. I walk around down in the basement going, crap, crap, oh damn, crap. And my wife stands at the foot of the stairs upstairs going, is there anything I can do to help you? Well, somewhere in your world, there's somebody down in the basement going, oh shoot, oh crap, because they can't figure something out. Be that person. Be that person who gives that gift and that talent, because it will come back to you. I promise you that. Now, the traditional marketing tools, they're great, and please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying let's put on a robe, go out in the field, and braid flowers in our hair, if we have hair. I'm saying that when all is said and done, your authenticity is what's going to make you successful in your chosen marketplace. I'm going to leave you with 3 things. They're the foundation of my life. my career, and my business. The first is I am worth all the effort I put into myself. Simply means that when I have to make sacrifices, when I go through some struggles, when I sit here and I'm not sure how to spend what precious little resource I may have on that given day or month, that I'm worth all the effort I put into developing me. The second thing, and is equally important, is I deserve to be successful. See, if I don't believe it, why should you? Imagine I come into your office and I talk to you about career coaching. Just to give you an example, I offer a service called a Career Makeover, where I go from resume through interviewing, or I help small business owners identify what they want to do with people, how they want to hire, the whole 9 yards. So imagine if I went in and talked to them about being successful and didn't believe it myself. It's one of the questions I ask people before I work with them as a coach. What do you hope to gain from working with me? And the third thing is, you are who you hang around with. Now, I could probably sit here for the next 2 hours and talk to you about the great people here on Google Hangouts Live, the great people I've met through the Google Plus community. They've enhanced me, they've challenged me, but there's so many other people in my life and in my world that do the same thing every day. I was blessed with 6 wonderful children. They're all grown now. The oldest is 38 and the youngest is 27. I've got a wonderful family. I've got a wonderful group of friends. I have a wonderful group of colleagues, and they all challenge me, each in their own way. Yeah, it's really easy to sit back sometimes and to just let the parade pass you by. You are who you hang around with. You deserve to be successful, and you're worth all the effort you put into yourself. That's why we don't know what we don't know. I promise you, if you embrace this and you make this your life's mission, you will be infinitely successful with everything you do. So I want to thank you for taking the time this evening. I usually try to stick to schedule. I ran 2 minutes over tonight. Real quick word, I want to apologize to those of you who came to attend last week's Hangout on Team Referral Network and virtual teams. I'm not quite sure what happened. We went to start the Hangout. The entire screen went blank. I saw the word goodbye, and the entire Hangout disappeared into the ethosphere. So we're going to regroup and look at doing that. We were going to be doing a live remote from an actual team outing, but there you go. So listen, I hope you have a good week. I hope you do something for somebody, and realize that if you need me, I'm right here. So bye-bye, and have a great evening.